I don't know if everybody knows, but Sega's just down the street. It's only 3 blocks down on Townsend in San Francisco. And Sega and we were all kind of friends at that time. And what they did is they looked at Secret Level and said, hey, this is an up-and-coming developer. You know, these guys can probably do really well for us. We can manage them, but yet keep them somewhat remote, so we can kind of focus on the product.
I think one of the great things about Japanese companies is people stay there for a really long time. So, you know, you go and start talking with Sega about Golden Axe, and the guy who did the original is still there and still working and still involved. And so it's been really cool to be able to talk to him, to show him the stuff.
Uchida-san's been awesome. It's one of the great things about working with Sega, and one of the reasons that I was really excited about the acquisition with Secret Level and Sega is that they're all these guys that made these great classic games that I played growing up. These guys are still at Sega, and it's great that you can still get access to these guys. And it was pretty cool meeting him and talking to him and having him talk about what he thought and the process of creating Golden Axe.
When I saw the concept design, that was awesome, great. That's out of my idea. They are already in the higher level, so probably I don't need to say anything for them.
He has some really good insight. It's kind of surprising. It's been such a long time, and he does have some really awesome ideas for making this game even better. I mean, he had a lot to do with saying, hey, you know, we can expand on those beats. We didn't do it very much in Golden Axe. The series, this is something that's unique. So it really was a collaboration.
Apart from getting specific ideas, it's just really nice to have the blessing of the original person. And you know that you're trying to keep that spirit alive, and it's good to know that they bless you and they are doing the handoff with you.
We started Golden Axe pretty modestly with about 4 people, and Secret Level was about 50 people at that time when we were really kicking off Golden Axe, and Secret Level is currently about 141 people today.
When we took on Golden Axe was really the project that not only was bringing us to doing this size of game, but also bringing us to the next generation, and with it, developing our own technology. So Golden Axe was kind of the core piece of a very large strategy to enter this age of gaming. So this is our game to really jump into next gen and show people what we can do and why we consider ourselves one of the top tier developers out there.
When we sat down at the beginning of the Golden Axe process, we put together key points that were important to us about the original Golden Axe. So whether it's the gnomes that are coming in, you know, in a reinterpreted way now to make them, you know, with next gen graphics believable, or whether it's plot points regarding Death Adder or the main characters, we've tried really hard to always respect the license and go back to the original.
Hereditary of Golden Axe was always cartoony, but basically what we want to do is bring it into a gritty realism and bring it more into the 21st century, you know, what's been going on in the films recently.
I think games have been moving in a more cinematic direction for a long time, and in particular with this generation of games, you have the resolution on the characters that you're able to convey a lot more emotion. And for us, we need to tie those things together. I mean, you need to have an amazing fantasy world, having it be very barbaric, but then there has to be that emotional component, and that's really the challenge now.
The art design process started quite some time ago, where I sat down with Silvio Abisher. Unfortunately, in this case, we actually came up with a lot of the visuals apart from the script. There was, of course, the old great 1989 classic, where we had a lot of key moments and key imagery that we were drawing from, but at that time the script didn't really exist, and so the artists, Silvio, myself, and the others that participated, we were free to take it in a different direction.
Basically, all we're trying to do within the game is set dressing. We want the artwork to put the player into an area that doesn't take away from gameplay, but it's beautiful, and that you can see fantastic vistas, gorgeous vistas.
We're trying to create amazing, gorgeous environments, really, really rich and vibrant and varied too. So you start off in these lush green areas, and then you go to these dead desert kind of areas.
More of our concept makes it to the game than it used to be able to. We used to have to interpret a lot more, and nowadays we can almost literally do a lot of what we have in mind. In our case, with our evolving technology, and it is still a new technology for our company, not everything's possible, but even what we are capable of is still ahead of what we could do a few years ago. So one of the first things you'll see is it's a free roaming world. You can go anywhere. And beyond that, you can actually wander for up to a kilometer in any direction. And I think that's quite a powerful thing.
We spent a lot of time thinking about the story on Golden Axe, and one of the things that we wanted to be careful of is that we were telling a story that we thought was something that was more than just filler, that had a purpose and made sense with the world. And so there's a lot of stuff that is not just told in story as a cutscene or an interactive in-game cutscene, but something where it really weaves into the reasoning behind a lot of what's going on in the game.
It's really a retelling, if you will. It's like rewriting the Bible again in our own little way. And I think what's really interesting is it's about Taurus's Flair relationship with what we call the Titan, the last remaining living god in the world. So if you remember the arcade game where you kind of went on the back of a giant turtle, a giant eagle, they were living titans. So with us, all the Titans have actually been killed by Death Adder except one remaining Titan, which happens to be the Dragon Fire God. And what Death Adder is doing really is he's trying to torture the dragon to find out where are the pieces of the golden axe. It's the ultimate, weapon to have in the whole story. So really it's about Tyrus's emotional connection to the dragon and how she ends up getting her fire magic, or the start of her fire magic abilities in the game. And it's actually kind of nasty. It's a mature game. There's a lot of gore, dismemberment, and death in this game, a little bit different to a teen game.
Over the course of the project, I think the story and the various project needs externally have shifted a bit. We didn't start with a mature rating. That kind of grew on us, for example, and we've had to figure out what that means and how we're going to interpret that in a tasteful way.
What I like the most is all the gore and blood. Since I'm in the game industry, I wanted to do dismemberment, and I was on teen kind of rated game, so I could not do that. And I think it feels right, when you hit the arm goes up.
What we want to do was bring the violence to a crescendo, and basically you've got to balance that out as the game progresses. It's got to get more and more violent as it goes to a crescendo at the end there. And how we did that was basically find out which way we should split the bodies, and that was the fun part of it.
So one of the things that we tried to incorporate into the fighting system was a really integrated parry and then counter-attack move that you do. And I think that's where you see some of the best parts of our combat system. A big guy is coming after you. If you block it, then there's this opening for you to be able to make a really great finishing move. When Tyrus is able to do that well, it's pretty cool to watch.
We have a lot of brutal attack that are really nice paired animation because we have like a nice animation team. I think that part makes people say, oh, that must hurt.
There is a lot of gore in our game. It's just amazing what we've been able to do with the decap. I mean, the heads, the arms, everything. It's something else. And I mean, the designers have specifically asked us to actually slow down the deaths so that they don't just fall right away, but kind of have a lumbering death so you can butcher them up as they're falling.
The combat is fun, and you'll be able to hack and slash your way through the world, and it so provides that core hack and slash barbarian experience that people remember from the original Golden Axe. I think they're going to be surprised and happy with the fact we try to pay as much tribute to the original as possible as well. We have the little gnomes, for example, that you get the magic from and steal the bodies and that sort of thing, but we've tried to reinvent them for the 21st century in a little bit of an edgier and a darker way.
We can't mess around with the gnomes. We have to have the gnomes in the game and don't change how they work. Magic system is another good example. We could have made it a complicated system with lots of different spells, but instead we went for the 3 types of spells. Fire-based magic for Tyrus. Keep it simple. Hit the button once, spell 1, hit it 3 times for the ultimate smart bomb spell, and summon a giant dragon. Just like the arcade when the big dragon head came in the screen and got busted the fire down on the minions. We basically did that in 3D, and it's fantastic, and it's just old school way. Don't mess around with it.
Whenever you look at any kind of license, it's always tough to kind of get to what's the heart of that license, and what do you do to interpret it in a fresh way so that you're getting all the stuff that everybody remembers or likes about that license, even if it's a new license. And when we looked at Golden Axe, the thing that all of us remembered and that all of us were psyched about was like, oh man, yeah, you want to grab control of that beast.
Many games have touched on it, but I don't think many games have done it well. And we knew that we needed to create beasts that people would want to ride that were varied so that there were different times you'd want to ride the different beasts.
The focus that we've had to really stand out is on the beasts. I think the beasts are really what's going to make this game stand out, because you'll be able to get on the beasts and each one has its own character and flavor.
We have 5 beasts, so when you think about a single player game, it's actually 6 players because of the 5 beasts. These are treated like main characters in the game.
There are all these little signature things that make it familiar, but it's not like a beast you've ever seen before, especially then when they start moving, and especially when you're riding on these things. I mean, that's an experience that you're like, wow, that is something I'm not going to be able to do in the real world.
I think there's a lot of games that have done things where you get to ride on creatures, but it's always kind of like an ancillary thing. It's always something where you do it for transport from one area to another, but we really wanted something where it's like, no man, we get to just totally be at one with this beast and do all kinds of cool stuff and have different kinds and take it into combat and just really make it a part of the game.